Welcome to Retire Smart Nashville. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Greg Lynch. He is the president and founder of Pivotal Financial. Greg, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. And I know things have been incredibly busy, talking about just the importance of having a true, comprehensive, written retirement plan. It's a staggering number of how many people, perhaps even in our viewing audience today, they fail to have that component. They may take the statements out of the mail, if you will, but to not have a true, written, comprehensive retirement plan.
We find that all too often, that people just don't have that written plan. So I'm a big believer that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Absolutely.
So we want to structure a written plan.
Absolutely.
And so we provide every client that comes in, I do it gratuitously. I like to provide that written plan, and we like to bring value to our clients. So that's what we do.
Absolutely. But I'm assuming that a lot of people that are approaching the retirement years, you hear a lot about they're afraid to run out of money. Is that still the situation? Is that still the main fear that you're hearing, Greg, from people?
It really is. I mean, we see people that come in, they're just terrified of that happening. So what I really like to do when we build that plan is, and there's a solid chance that a lot of people can do that. They can run out of money during their retirement years. So we really like to make sure that I don't like the type of planning where we say we might or it should work, or if everything goes good, this will work. I don't like that kind of planning. We have a 100% success rate on our retirement plans because we use guarantees when it comes to income planning. So a lot of the piece of that puzzle is income planning.
Okay.
And most people that come into our office, I mean, they find that, wow, after I've sat down and I've really got this structured, that man, they walk out relieved.
Yeah.
Because they finally got that income piece settled.
Sure.
So that's a very, very important piece.
And that provides such peace of mind, right? To know that everything will be okay in retirement and to not be afraid.
It is. I've had people literally go into tears when they say, oh, I wish I would have met you sooner.
Yeah.
Because when they can finally get that, all that work they've done for 30 or 40 years to build their asset base, and then when we convert that and show how they can draw income from that and never run out of money in their life.
Sure.
We find that people are very, very gracious that that's finally happened. So yeah, a lot of tears shed when that's done. It's very, very, when people finally have that piece of the puzzle, they're like, yeah, I can make it the next 4 or 5 years work, and now I know I'm there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Greg, tell me a little bit about where the passion comes from for you to help others. How did Pivotal Financial come into play?
Well, we found just through the years in this business, as we just morphed into who we are today, we found that there was just not a big educational piece. People would sit down in a broker's or an advisor's office, they would just give them a lot of numbers and talk over their head. So I like to educate. That's one of the biggest things that we enjoy doing is education. We do a lot of workshops in Middle Tennessee. And so we like to educate. I like to teach. And so that's really what drives me is I like people to know what they're doing.
Sure.
I don't like to just put a lot of numbers out there and say, this is what we got here.
Yeah, and it's confusing then.
It's very
people don't
confusing.
understand what that is.
People don't know. I mean, whatever line of work they're in, that's their specialty. They don't know planning.
Yeah.
And so I like to use everyday terminology. I use paychecks and playchecks.
Okay.
I use 3 periods of your retirement years are your go-go years, your slow-go years, and your no-go years. Typically, that's about 10 or 15 years in each phase.
Okay.
I like for people to know that with their paycheck money, they can utilize that money towards their paychecks. I mean, you want to go and do stuff because life happens, it evolves. With the clients we've had, and I've seen how that truly does happen, go, slow-go, and no-go, and typically health pushes us into that no-go area.
Sure.
So I have to make sure we're planned and use everyday terminology and make certain that my clients understand exactly what they've got, exactly what it's going to do with the limited drawdown portfolios too. So we really like to follow all aspects of that as a holistic planners.
Absolutely. And Greg, I think it's also important to talk about the fact that you're a fiduciary. And to the viewing audience at home that maybe doesn't know what that means, can you explain what that is and what a benefit would be to be working with a fiduciary?
Absolutely. I'll sum it up real quick. A fiduciary, by law, as a licensed fiduciary, we have to do the exact right thing for every client every day.
Okay.
So we don't have a cookie cutter approach. Different pieces of everybody's puzzle, we look at each puzzle differently, and we want to achieve what that client's trying to achieve. So we do it the right way every single time. By law, And I think it's kind of tongue-in-cheek to say that we have to by law. I've always operated my business as a fiduciary. We do the right thing every single time.
Sure. So people can come in and they trust you just sitting down knowing that you're taking good care of them like you would for your parents, if you will.
That's it. And a matter of fact, my parents are my clients too. Yes. So that really is the way it works out. And, you know, I really enjoy that when we put these plans together that, you know, we do literally have a 100% success rate. So when I do planning, I take it very personal, I take it very serious, and I want to make certain that we can stay with that 100%, that every single plan we put together stays intact and there's no problems towards the end.
Okay, perfect, because nobody wants problems towards the end. That would be the scariest time of all.
That is.
Oh my goodness. So I should also ask you, Greg, for the viewing audience at home that might have a current plan that they think is working for them, how important is it to have a second opinion?
Well, second opinions are very, very important. I mean, you know, you don't want a second opinion from the guy who gave you the first opinion. You know, you got to get a true second opinion, have a second set of eyes laid on your plan on what you're doing. So I think it's very, very valuable because especially when it's gratuitous that I provide these plans, you definitely want a fiduciary to take a look at that and make sure that you're aligned properly with what your retirement goals are.
I should also ask you, how important is it for a person to know what their risk tolerance is as they're getting up towards the retirement age?
It's huge.
Yeah.
Part of the planning that we do in the written plan, I believe in a written plan that we give this to everybody that comes in. I do it gratuitously.
Okay.
We find that other advisors charge $1,500 for a plan like this. I like to put it all together. Part of this is Social Security planning. We take the numbers, your FRA numbers, and we plug those in our software and we run, and it'll give us the best ways for us to determine what the best ways are to come on Social Security. We do a full comprehensive portfolio analysis. It will tell us the amount of risk you're in. And I get some of these back and people will tell me, well, I'm conservative. And they'll come back that they're in a growth profile or an aggressive profile, and it just doesn't match up.
Wow.
So we want to make certain that the way that their portfolio is structured, that it's also meets what their expectations are. We like to use limited drawdown portfolios. So I know that if the market goes down by 40% or we see another 2008 or another COVID, we know that we're not going to get all of that drawdown. But we still want to make the money when the markets are performing. So that's what these portfolios that we use are designed to do.
How often do you have people that perhaps had a plan in place that maybe worked 25 years ago, but they haven't updated it? Have you had a situation where people have come in with the same plan in place and it just didn't quite work any longer?
I'll be honest with you, I see a lot of statements
Okay.
Come in, but I don't see a lot of written plans come in my office.
Sure.
So it's really what drives me to do more of what we do is to really lay it out. But, you know, I've got people that from 25 years ago, they get in the accumulation mode.
Okay.
So they want to accumulate, and that's their plan.
Okay.
But then when they start nearing getting close to 60, late 50s, early 60s, then we look at, okay, what can we do for distribution now?
Okay.
And nobody's really teaching that. So we like to use a true defined distribution plan on the assets that we're accumulating.
Greg, thank you so much. Believe it or not, it's time for us to open up the phone lines for the very first time this week. Can you tell the viewing audience what they can expect to receive by being one of your first 10 callers today?
Absolutely. So for the first 10 callers, we're going to offer a full comprehensive written plan. It includes Social Security. It includes your Social Security analysis, the best ways for you or you and your spouse to come on Social Security, how it's going to benefit you the most from a paycheck standpoint. We're also going to do a complete portfolio analysis, tell you the level of risk that you're currently in. Is that appropriate for you or not? And then we'll also look at fees and expenses, what your current portfolio is, what your current advisor or your broker is charging you in fees. You want to know that. A lot of times those fees are in the prospectus on those mutual funds that nobody reads. They put you to sleep after one paragraph. So you want to know what those fees and expenses are. And then we do a comprehensive income plan. So we make sure one of the biggest important steps we take is what does it cost you to live? What are we going to have on paychecks and playchecks, and how can we put all that together? So we do that, and we love doing it, and we do it gratuitously.
Thank you, Greg. To the viewing audience at home, we know you have a lot of questions about planning your perfect stress-free retirement. Greg has those answers for you. The number to call once again is 833-732-6212. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Nashville. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Greg Lynch. He's the founder and president of Pivotal Financial. Greg, a great first segment of the show talking about the importance of planning for retirement with a true, written, comprehensive retirement plan, not just the statements coming out of the mailbox. So thank you for shedding some light on that.
Absolutely.
And as we were going to the commercial break, I was so excited to see the phone lines were starting to light up. I always love that feeling because I know that people are watching and they're really paying attention. So I wanted to come into this segment and just talk to you a little bit about what does it feel like for someone to be a client of Pivotal Financial, if you will.
Well, I'll tell you, we're very welcoming in the office. So when people come in for the first time, I mean, it can be intimidating because people say, well, do I have enough? Or I'm embarrassed, or I should have $1 million, I've got 500,000, or whatever it may be. But we put you at ease. We're non-judgmental. I mean, that's your safe zone when you're in our office.
Okay.
And I really enjoy people coming in because I try to put them at ease.
Sure.
And I'll tell you something, Cynthia, what we found is about 90% of our clients, they've got everything that it takes. It just needs to be restructured.
Okay.
So, I mean, I feel that most people, when they come in and they leave with their plan, really is a point where they can take a deep breath.
Sure. And Greg, is there a checklist to follow for what documents need to be brought in or not on the first meeting? How does that typically work?
What I typically do is, okay, bring in your FRA, your full retirement age on Social Security. So you want that number because we use that number to plug into our software to run a good illustration on Social Security. I run that out till age 95. So. And then we want you to bring statements if you've got investment statements, 401ks, any old dormant 401ks.
Okay.
I don't like the dormant 401ks because you've just left them there at previous employers, and I call them the old rabid 401ks. We want to get those things and harness them back and make sure that we're looking at that money too.
Okay.
So we like to pull those things in and look at. So all the statements, all the statements you want to bring in, your Social Security information, and then from that point we'll analyze and look at what your income needs, what you feel your income needs will be in retirement.
Okay.
And then that really gives us a good start. We don't need everything, but that'll give us a real good start in putting together that full plan, the written plan.
Okay. And Greg, how long does that normally take, the first consultation? And I should ask, do you ever do those over Zoom?
We do. I think people are getting a little more comfortable now. I will do them over Zoom. But we use sterile techniques in the office. After every client meeting, we wipe everything down. Everything is Lysol.
Okay.
We like to. I enjoy seeing people face to face.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that human contact, and so.
You're a people person.
I'm a people person, and I like to see people. So when you're Zooming and all the other stuff, it's just a little impersonal to me.
Yeah.
And so we really encourage. I encourage people to come in unless you're not comfortable. Mm-hmm. So if potential clients are not comfortable, certainly we can do alternative ways of discussing that first meeting. But that first meeting takes about an hour.
Okay.
And that gives us enough time to kind of dissect everything that they've got and what their time frame is on retirement plan, when they want to go into retirement.
Okay.
And then we look at, that's really the composition of that first meeting is just fact finding,
Okay.
gathering the information.
Okay. Is the advice different for someone that's perhaps 10 years away from retirement versus 5?
It always is.
Okay.
Because if we're 10 years from retirement, then we're still in a big piece of that accumulation. And so a lot of times we can tighten the belt a little bit, that 10 years, especially if we're a little bit short.
Okay.
And so we can really start, but we've really changed that plan with 10 years left. So, and it really, in a 10-year period, we've also seen plans completely change, and boom, we've got enough at the end of that 10 years. We just have to start getting a little more aggressive.
Okay. All right. Greg, what types of questions should people be asking themselves and to you when they come in to meet with you to know that they're ready to retire?
Well, first of all, we don't want too much month at the end of the money.
Okay.
It's a saying that we
Okay.
use. Nobody likes to live. I always joke when we're doing our workshops and things that we've all lived with too much month at the end of the money. For me, it was in college when you're eating ramen noodles.
Oh, sure.
Now my 13-year-old son, he prefers ramen noodles. So I'm like,
Well, I
what?
guess you get used to the flavor, right? The saltiness, and they're fun to twirl. But yeah, I went through that phase too. So.
So we just like to look at all these plans and just make sure that people don't have to live like that again. We've all been there at some point in our lives, and we don't want to go back there, especially in retirement.
Yeah, most definitely. Are you finding, Greg, that people are retiring earlier, or are they waiting longer?
I see that in the Nashville market, people are waiting a little bit longer.
Really?
So I really do, yeah. So a lot of times we can utilize the Social Security to beef that number up a little bit, because naturally we get those 8% delayed credits. It's not appealing to everybody. It's in my own personal plan. I like to use that. A lot of clients utilize that by delaying Social Security a little bit longer. But I find that for retirement, typically we're saddled to working just because of the health care.
Okay.
So health care because if you've looked at individual health plans and you wanted to retire at 62, 63, I've got a lot of clients that do that, but we've got to be prepared for the premium.
Oh, sure.
The premium is surprising on that.
Yeah.
And then naturally when we go into Medicare, it's a whole different ballgame. So usually those premiums reduce. But yeah, we do kind of get sticker shock when you look at buying that insurance premium if you do want to come out before age 65.
Sure, and I've heard a lot of people talk about that in the past too, how they may have had an idea of when they were going to retire, but once they saw what the cost of that health care was, it made them say, you know what, I just am not ready. We can't quite undertake that expense.
Well, I see those expenses ranging anywhere from $600 to $900 for a 62 or a 63-year-old.
Wow.
Now we do, I work very closely with a couple different companies in Nashville that really are the best premiums. But then you have to qualify for the coverage. Mm-hmm. So you have to be underwritten. So you have to be prepared.
Okay.
So, as we age, sometimes there's a little hiccup with our health issues here and there. And that really does, I find that saddles us in to the working environment because we've got our group benefits.
Okay.
So a lot of times we can take that first step out at age 65. And that's really what I see a lot of in this market.
Okay. Well, Greg, we're going to open up the phone lines again to the viewing audience. Can you tell the viewers at home what they can expect to receive by being one of the first 10 callers today?
Yes, so for the first 10 callers, we offer a written plan. I like written because if it's not written, what's the meaning of having a plan? I like a true written plan. The written plan gives you your Social Security expectations, what you can expect from Social Security, the best ways for you to draw Social Security, according to you or you and your spouse, and what that amount is of your FRA. Then we do a full, complete portfolio analysis. It shows us the level of risk that you're currently in. It shows us the fees and expenses that you're currently paying. A lot of those fees and expenses are hidden away in the prospectus that none of us ever read. So I like to make sure that we know what all of those fees are. Part of the analysis that we do too, it'll show you if we experience another identical period of 2008 or COVID or even 2000, 2002, the dot-com bust, it'll show what your current holdings were reduced by. So I have a lot of clients that come in and they get caught up in that. We'll see a 30 or a 40% decrease. We want to make sure that you receive this plan for the first 10 callers.
Greg, thank you so much. To the viewing audience at home, that number to call once again is 833-732-6212. We have added additional phone lines. We realize the phones have been busy. Thank you for your patience as you try to call in. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break with more questions and answers about planning your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Nashville. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Greg Lynch. He is the president and the founder of Pivotal Financial. Greg, a wonderful show and really just delivering a lot of very important information about planning for retirement, which can be so stressful and scary, if you will, if you don't have a true written plan in place. So our last segment, we talked a little bit about Social Security, and I wanted to ask you, you hear a lot of buzzwords and just questions around this right now. Do you think Social Security is going to go away eventually?
You know, I stay closely aligned with Boston College Center for Retirement Research and what their opinions and what their recommendations are, and they help advise on ways to make sure that it stays intact. But right now, if it stays in its current form, in 2034, there's still enough incoming money to pay 79%. That's the first year that it's designed that it may not have enough in there to pay all the retirees that are on Social Security. So, but there's enough coming in to pay 79% of that benefit.
Okay.
So there's a 21% makeup that we'll have to put in place. One of the next two administrations will have to tackle that issue.
Okay.
So I really feel like it's going to be in the current form. There's some things that will probably happen where if you were born 1960 and later, your full retirement age is age 67. We may see that pushed out when they do come up with a fix for Social Security. It may go out to age 68 for some of our younger people. So, I mean, that right there will fix 20% of the shortfall.
Okay.
We may see some additional taxes. I don't think they're going to be crazy taxes. The stuff I look at, you know, is minimal taxation for Social Security. So I really feel like, you know, I mean, I'm an optimist and I read a lot. I stay tuned into that conversation with Social Security. So I look at everything.
Sure.
And I really feel that, you know, I'm going to have some naysayers in every crowd. It's going away, but it's not.
Okay.
You know, I really feel like that's something we can count on. We want to count on it. I mean, we paid a lot of tax dollars in.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, I have to also ask you, Greg, is there a magic age for someone to take their Social Security benefits, to activate those, if you will?
There's not.
Okay.
Everybody's different. So, you know, I mean, I've got clients that it works really well at age 62. There's not a lot of times that I recommend 62. But if I've got a large pension, you know, on a client, and I've got some that I've set up recently, $4,000 and $5,000 a month, retired at 60, you know, then I can, and that's, by the way, that pension is always going to be structured 100% joint and survivor to make sure that the spouse gets all the pension. As long as that's the case, then we can make a play for age 62 easily.
Okay.
But again, if, you know, looking at income planning, if that doesn't fit in well with the income plan, we may have to get a little bit more money out of Social Security. So it may be that we wait till later.
Okay.
What if we've been hit with the curveball of life, which we all have been hit with the curveball?
Absolutely.
If we get hit with that curveball of life and then, okay, we went through a divorce, we've got a deceased spouse, something crazy happens, well, then we can still leverage Social Security going out longer, because between your full retirement age and age 70, you get those guaranteed 8% per year increases. So I like to leverage that when we have to, if we have been hit by the curveball, if we just need more money as far as income planning goes. So there's not a magical age for everybody. Everybody's different.
Okay.
But we look at that. That's a big, important talking point that I like to have.
Well, and I think it's very important for the viewers to know that they can actually have those questions answered by coming in and by sitting with you, because a lot of times people get advice at the water cooler, or let's just say from Uncle Bob or whoever saying, well, I think you should take them now. It's a good time. It worked for me. But
I see that a lot with Social Security. Oh, Bob's taking it at 62. I am too.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the way we plan. You know, we don't plan on what Bob's doing at the water cooler. We like a
Exactly.
good written plan so we can see everything and look at it all. So, but I do see that a lot where people come in and say, well, so-and-so's doing it, or so-and-so told me to do this way. We want to look at it and look at it realistically on what your income needs are and make sure that Social Security is going to be a big piece to fit in that income plan.
Absolutely, because again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's a very individualized plan that you put in place for each client.
That's it. I mean, everybody's different. As a fiduciary, we look at all the pieces of the puzzle. Nobody's got the same puzzle. So we look at every single piece of that puzzle and develop a true holistic plan for every client.
And I know that people appreciate that. Just the time that you take to listen to them, to listen to what their needs are, what their dreams are, what their goals are. And Greg, I can't believe it. We have about a minute left in the show. Can you tell the viewers one more time what they can expect to receive by calling in today?
Absolutely. So for the first 10 callers, I like to provide a true written plan. I mean, that's just one of the things that just makes me tick. I like it in writing. I like to hand off a plan. A lot of advisors in my market, they charge $1,500 for a plan like this. I don't. I like to bring value to my potential clients. So the first 10 callers, I want to provide this. So all you would need to do is bring in all of your statements, your FRA on Social Security, and what your income needs are, and I'll be more than happy to provide this plan to you. First 10 callers.
Thank you, Greg. To our viewers at home, thank you again so much for spending time with us this morning. Your time we know is valuable, and thank you for sharing it with us. We know you have a lot of questions about planning your perfect retirement. Well, Greg is here to have those answers for you. All you have to do is pick up the phone. The number once again is 833-732-6212. Be happy, be safe, be blessed. We will see you again next week. Thank you for watching.